Hello and welcome to the latest in my series of In Conversation pieces. Today I'm joined by an old mate of mine, Kristian Jones. Chris, you had a phenomenal last sort of 2 years of your angling life really, and quite a good build up to that as well. So I want to run through everything today.
Okay.
Can we start right at the start for you? How did you get into fishing?
Well, where I live in Ellesmere Port on my estate, there's a few little ponds, and when I was young and I was just walking past the pond, I'd always see people fishing there. So eventually, when I was really young, I didn't really have any interest. But as I got older, I thought, I want to have a go at that. So I got myself a little whip from Argos and went to have a go on this little pond. And it took me a few times to catch a fish, but eventually I did catch one, and it was a crucian. Crucian was my first fish, and I just used to spend a lot of time sat there catching crucians and an odd tench.
Because you're like me in some respects in that none of your family fishes, do they? You sort of got into this of your own accord, really.
Yeah, none of my immediate family goes fishing. No, it was just, seeing people fish, think, I want to have a go at that, and it's just gone from there, really, Tom.
Brilliant. Obviously, a lot of young anglers these days, and I say young, I mean, old, you're 22, aren't you?
Yeah, 22, yeah.
I mean, a lot of young anglers these days are drawn to the dark side, we'll call it, carp fishing, rather than match fishing, but you chose to go down the match fishing route. What was it that made you get into competitive fishing?
Well, basically, I used to go fishing a little bit with my Uncle George. I call him my uncle. I don't exactly know what relation is, but...
It's a bit like that in Ellesmere Port.
Well, my Uncle George used to take me fishing a little bit, and I remember one day we went to a fishery called Lloyd's Meadow, and there was a match on the main lake, what we'd normally fish, so we had to go on the lake next to it. And I actually remember watching a couple of the lads fishing, and one of them was actually Richie Parry, who was running the Airbus Angling Club. So I eventually sort of spoke to him, and I went from there, really. I joined Airbus Club. Unfortunately, my Uncle George actually died, so I stopped going fishing with him more, and my dad started taking me fishing, and we just used to go on the matches at Airbus and go to various different venues, and I just got the bug for match fishing from there, really. Just enjoyed the crack, seeing all the people. We used to go away on weekends away with the club, and it's just gone from there, really. I just love what I'm doing, sort of thing.
I know, obviously, I've done a fair bit of work at Western Pools and in that sort of area. Broadly speaking, where you are at Airbus, it's a big employer in that area, isn't it? And a big sort of centre. I know there's a lot of people work there, isn't there, in your area?
Yeah, there is, yeah. Yeah.
So, obviously, you're club fishing now then. Somehow from that you've progressed to open fishing. I think the first time we met was, from my memory anyway, was you and Sarah Taylor at Western Pools. We did a feature for Pole Fishing magazine. I think Richie Parry actually contacted me and said these two have been doing very well. And I thought you were quite cute. I actually thought you were boyfriend and girlfriend back then.
I think a lot of people did, but no, we're just mates. We just used to fish together. Obviously, she's from the Wirral as well, so we used to fish together at Lingmere and a few different fisheries. So we thought we'd enter a few pairs competitions. We used to fish the pole fishing pairs, didn't we? And it was good.
I mean, Sarah's gone to great things as well. She won was it the Ladies Fishermania last year?
She's a brilliant angler, isn't she, to be fair to her. She won the Ladies Fishermania and she won the Next Gen. So she's in the main Fishermania final this year, so good luck to her. She's a great angler.
With a bit of luck, you'll be joining her.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate, yeah.
Good, okay, so you're fishing with Airbus, with a club.
Yeah.
Talk me through that next step then, really.
Well, one of the venues we used to visit regular was Western Pools, and Mike, the owner, used to always come and help me when I drew, because obviously I was one of the youngest lads, and he'd always come and tell me and give me a bit of tips on the pegs. And I just used to love going to Western. I think we all did, all the club, we really enjoyed going to Western. And Richie Parry actually then took over the role as fishery manager there and actually stepped away from the Airbus club, and it sort of, all the matches stopped with Airbus. So then it was just natural I started going on the open matches at Western instead. And I just used to love going there. I still to this day go there all the time, a couple of times a week, fishing matches. I just love it. It's just brilliant, isn't it, Western? And that's probably where I sort of did most of my open match fishing in the early days, starting match fishing sort of thing.
It's a point I want to come back to this, a point I want to touch on. I think up to a couple of years ago, people could have been mistaken for saying you only went to Western because every time saw a result, it was generally you. You are without question the best angler at Western Pools. You've won more there than anybody. But I just want to basically look at it from a developmental point of view. You as an angler, focusing on one venue, learning its moods, learning the methods that work there, and winning there. Would you say that's a good route to success? It's helped you with other things, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think especially Western, one thing I've always sort of thought about there is there's so many species of fish. There's F1s, carp, barbel, eyed, skimmers, the lot. And I think you learn about how each species feed, and then you can take it to other venues then. So I think I've learned a lot about how to catch big carp, and then I've also learned a lot about the F1 style of fishing, and most of the methods I use has probably come from what I learned fishing at Western when I go to other venues as well. So I'd say learn a venue, go to a venue, and just enjoy your fishing, and you'll be able to progress in your angling and then go other venues and do well there as well.
Yeah. So you're going to Western then. You obviously are doing well in the matches. Just talk me through your progression from there.
Well, as I said earlier, we used to go on the pole pairs during the winter, me and Sarah, and obviously that was a lot of silverfish fishing, and we were fishing with some top, silverfish anglers. And I remember, I think it was Frankie Gionicelli mentioned to me and Sarah about the England Talent Pathway. So we used to go on that through the winter, and obviously we had Lee and Frankie teaching us all sort of international methods, international rules, how to fish to international sort of things. And that led on to obviously the inter-regional match at Barston, which I think you were one of the coaches there. You used to teach us about leam and things like that, bloodworm and joker style fishing. And I actually from that day got a trial for England, the juniors, the under 18s. So I went to the trial at Makins, was lucky enough to get selected for the team, which went to Serbia that year. And so I started fishing a bit more silver fishing matches as well as going to Western. So that was where I sort of started to mix up my fishing a bit more, doing that.
So obviously it's a big change, but very different to tapping a few pellets in on Stratton and Belvedere.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
What was it like? How was Serbia? Did it open your eyes?
Yeah, it did, yeah. I think one thing I definitely noticed the first year I went is how different it is to commercial fishing. And obviously I thought that I'd be able to pick it up quite quick. And the first year I went, I was definitely well below the standard of the other lads who did a bit more of that sort of fishing. I was obviously the youngest there, and I was the reserve both days, and I got to just watch the event and bank run. We actually won gold medal that year, so it was great for me to watch. And I just noticed that people like Bradley Gibbons, for example, is so knowledgeable about that style of fishing, and it was great. He helped me with, good info about that sort of thing, making sure I had all the kit I needed. But I needed to sort of practice a bit more of that style of fishing if I was going to carry on doing that. So that's one thing I did notice when I went away the first year with England, yeah.
When you did that, I remember that sort of following year you came on the stadium, didn't you?
Yeah,
on our pairs that we were in at the time.
Yeah.
And you fished quite a few more silverfish type things through the winter.
I tried to mix it up a bit. I think the actual area where I live, I don't think there's a lot of natural fishing. I think it's a very good circuit in the northwest for commercial fishing, but there's not a lot of rivers and thingies. So I've had to travel a lot of the time to go and do that sort of thing. Like I said, I come up on the Steynie, so I couldn't do it really regular, but every time I had chance, I would try and make the effort to go and mix up my fishing a bit more, yeah.
Must have been a difficult one for you though, mate, because to me, as a young man, say you were, 17 at that time, 18, however old you were, you're looking down a path of where you want to be with your fishing. You can't feasibly do everything. On the one hand, you've got Jamie Hughes, Andy Bennett, big money matches to be won on commercials, and you're in a great area for that. And the other path is obviously a bit more inaccessible in terms of means a lot of travelling. The rewards aren't as great, so it must have been appealing just to go commercial fishing at that point.
Yeah, and I think so, and I think that was probably I wouldn't say a mistake that I made early on, but I feel like I wish I had have just committed to one thing or the other and tried not to do both, because I think it's very difficult to do both. And as I say, I'm glad I did it now because I've had the experience of going away with England, but I've definitely made a decision in my fishing now that I'm going to focus on the commercial side of things and go for that sort of big money matches. I think it is difficult to do both. You've got to go with what you enjoy as well.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it is the commercial side of fishing that I do enjoy. And going forward, I think that's what I'm going to look to do.
It's interesting. Everybody's different, and
Yeah.
The England sort of, we'll call it boot camp sort of regime or trials and all that sort of thing. It's a bloody brutal thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I still remember, so I took Jordan to the trials the year he got picked, and you that was the year after, wasn't it, when you got dropped?
Yeah.
And I felt so sorry for you that year because, you know, as I remember it was your 18th birthday on the day. You won the match with 70 odd pound bream.
Yeah.
And you didn't get picked.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think maybe looking back, it was probably a good thing that happened. At the time, I didn't see it that way, and I was probably a bit upset. But the way I'm looking back at it now, I just wanted to go commercial fishing. I was only doing it because the attraction of fishing for England, fishing for your country, not because of that love for that style of fishing. And looking back, there probably was anglers that suited that style of fishing better than me. So, as I say, I'm glad to have had the experience, and you know, not everyone did get a chance to go away on a couple of world championships, which I did. So,
and to win a gold medal, mate.
Yeah,
but you still got a gold.
Got a gold medal. I've even got the trophy. They said youngest angler gets to keep the trophy, so I've got the trophy at home from when we won the world championship. So, you know, I've got that there to remind me of, you know, when I did get to fish for England. So that's good.
Good. Okay, so moving on from there then, sort of as I saw it, your fishing in the last, as I said, 3 years really has skyrocketed, and that has probably coincided with you putting the England thing to one side and just focusing on commercial fishing. Just run me through. I mean, I think we'd take too long to go through everything you've won the last 3 years, but from memory, there's 8 Western Pools festivals. Just talk me through your last 12 months, because that's been pretty immense.
So obviously the last 12 months have been a bit different with COVID and everything, but when I have got a chance to get out, I've had some brilliant results. There's been a lot of people out on the bank fishing, and everyone's really enjoying the fishing. I think it's, you know, going stronger than ever at the minute when we've been able to get out. And so 12 months ago now, I actually qualified for the match this final at Partridge, and obviously the final didn't happen last year, but I've got that to look forward to for this year. So fingers crossed for a good peg in the final there. I fished various festivals at Western last year. I managed to win the Weight Master for the second year in a run. So that's brilliant. Hopefully that's not too far away now. Hopefully for a third year. I won festival at Heronbrook, the Autumn Festival. And then shortly after I won the Dyer Autumn Classic at Westwood.
Yeah.
So I had a decent year, we got out.
It was good, and a lot of other match wins in between as well. It's interesting just listening to what people say. You know, I talk to a lot of anglers, and you can tell that you've got sort of Bennett and Jamie and them sort of anglers a little bit worried. You're sort of biting on the old coattails, aren't you, a little bit now?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I just sort of look up to them sort of anglers, and I just want to try my best to get as close to them as I can. And you can only, you know, by practicing and getting out fishing, enjoying what you do, and get to sort of that sort of level, I think.
I want to just pick up on something that you just said there, really, which I think is a massive tip to any young angler. You talk about honing skills and really refining what you do when it comes to certain styles of fishing, and that's something I've noticed. We've done a lot of filming together lately, and there'll be more on that in a minute, but you know, I can definitely see you've refined that approach to the nth degree, haven't you? You know, and that discipline surely will help you win more matches, and that focus. Yeah,
I think so. I think you call me a bit of a faffer at times, don't you, with me kit? But I just everything about fishing I love. I love trying to improve my kit, get my bait better, make sure my elastics are working well. I want every last bit to be better, because I think that's the difference. That's what makes you win more matches, Tom. And I just love everything about fishing, like I say. So
Yeah, it's good. Before we go into our future sort of plans with regard to our project, as we'll call it for now.
The project.
Yeah, I just want to touch a little bit on your personal life, really, mate. In that, you're uniquely focused in this. Fishing's really what you want to do, isn't it? You've not really got a plan B, really, have you? It's you've made your mind up. You want to work in angling, whether it be coaching or everything else. Bold step, really.
Yeah, I think it is, mate. I think it's a difficult one, really. I think that is what my passion is, and I really want to try and work hard at that. So that's what I want to be able to do.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of time into it, and I, put everything I can into me fishing, and hopefully it will be the right decision. I will be able to do well with it. Hopefully our project takes off well, and I can keep fishing and keep going at the highest level of match fishing. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them things, isn't it? I remember my granddad said to me when I was a kid, he said, if you have a job that you love, you never go to work in your life. And
yeah,
I mean, I love working in the fishing trade. I think it's the best trade in the world. Yeah, there's downsides. There's always whingers or moaners or whatever. Yeah. But I think you're doing the right thing, mate. If it's what you 100% want to do, which it obviously is, then there's no better trade to work in.
No, I don't think we're going to be millionaires, are we, from working in fishing? But we enjoy it, so why not, eh?
That's exactly it. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit more about it then, about the project.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them, or do you want me to tell them?
Go on, Tom. You know a lot about it.
You know more about it.
Okay, then. So we're setting up a new YouTube channel, Match Winning Edges, and what that's all about is, like I say, little bits of refining of tackle. So getting your tackle dead right, getting your bait dead right, and putting all them things together and winning more matches. I'll be doing lots of live matches, lots of match blogs as I go through the year, and just telling you as things change, and as I find things that are better than the old things what I'm using, and get them out to the people to hopefully help other people get better at match fishing as well.
I think it's going to be fantastic, and I think for the viewers, listen, there's so much on there. I've genuinely learned an awful lot doing this about F1 style fishing. It's one of them things, you get to a level in your angling, as I have, where I don't do loads of that sort of fishing, and you think you know how to catch F1. You think a little strung bulk, 6-inch up length, little pot on your pole, tap some pellets in, how hard is it? But when you see the nth degree that these lads take it to, to win consistently on those circuits, you begin to realise that, it is exactly what the name of the channel is, which I know we've got Matt Godfrey actually to thank for the name.
For the name, yeah.
But Match Winning Edges is what this is about. It's little tweaks to your kit and tackle that commercial anglers will find invaluable. I know I've learned a lot, as I said.
Yeah, definitely. Should be good, mate.
So, as we're talking here, the project is now live. So, if you have a look at Match Winning Edges on YouTube, or head over to matchwinningedges.com to have a look at our website, you can see the tackle that Kristian uses on there, and also obviously the videos which you can watch for free on the Match Winning Edges YouTube. It's all on there now. So, a couple of questions for you, pal, before we sign off.
Okay, mate.
And one of them I know you're dreading, because, it's always, I call it tradition to end on a controversial question.
Right.
But before that, what's your ambition for the future? What do you most want to win?
I think for this, say, looking at this year anyway, I want to try and get in another big final. I've got the match this to look forward to already from last year, but I want to try and get in either Fisho or Golden Reel as well, and hopefully win one of them. I think that is my biggest ambition, is try and win a big final. I think I put a lot of time in through the years fishing these qualifiers and travelling about, and that is probably what I want to do most in my fishing.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I think a lot of anglers of your sort of age share that dream, really, don't they? And let's face it, bloody hell, to win 50 grand at your age, it'd set you up for life, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Definitely.
And after you've given me my 80% credit, it'd be a bit less than you, wouldn't it, pal?
Sounds about right.
Right, okay. So, final question.
Okay.
So, it's a Fishermania final. I don't know whether this even happens in Fishermania, by the way, but hypothetically speaking, it's a Fishermania final. You're tied winner with another guy. And so you've got to have a fish off for an hour.
Yeah.
You versus one other angler. Who would you least like it to be? You v them for 1 hour.
I've got to go for Andy Bennett.
Yeah.
I think we fish with him all the time. I've fished against him loads at Partridge, and he is, for me, the best angler at that style of fishing, commercial fishing in the country by a mile. And he's just so calm, and I'm probably the opposite, and he just makes it look so easy, and I think he would be the worst person to fish against in a fish off because he's just unflappable, and he'd be hard to beat.
Chris, it's been a pleasure talking to you as always, mate. Head over to Match Winning Edges and have a look at what we're doing on there. Chris is obviously going to be taking the reins and doing the vast majority of the stuff on there, and he'll be answering your questions as well. So if there's anything you want to ask him, just drop a message on there. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you next time.